Nadella is now just a year into his new role as Chief Executive of Microsoft. I know, Steve, you've written a lot about his experience so far. Year on, how do you think he's doing?
I'm stunned, to be honest, how much Microsoft has changed in a year. When he first came along, I thought it was quite a surprise. You know, somebody who comes from quite a technical background, to take on the role. It's obviously a big role to fill with Steve Ballmer being in post for such a long time. But I think, some of the early stuff he set out, there was a lot of skeptics, a lot of wait and see. Microsoft's been around for a long time, it's worked in a certain way. But I think the change has been massive. I think it's a real step change. Before they talked about the cloud, they talked about being all in, they talked about mobile, they talked about the need to be more agile, and they talked a lot about a lot of things. I think the last year we've seen some real action, and yeah, I mean, I'm stunned. I think there's some good stuff coming out of Microsoft. I think they're back on the forefront. I think they get what people want. I think they get where the market's going, and they're driving it in the right way rather than just talking about it. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, and I would echo that. I think it's been a seismic shift in Microsoft in the last 12 months. It's been phenomenal seeing the rate and pace of change, and I think it's all been in a good direction. Opening up the operating system, working with partners that they would have never have done historically, like Dropbox, rather than saying we've got a product that competes with Dropbox, therefore we're never going to work with these guys and make that experience for the end user slick. We're going to make it as difficult as possible for Dropbox, which is kind of the way Microsoft had kind of worked and kind of protecting their own applications. That new way of working and kind of interacting and really waking up to the fact that people do want to use tools other than Microsoft's tools sometimes, and making those systems all slickly work together with the operating system from Microsoft. They cement their place in the market as well. So I think phenomenal change in the last 12 months, and yeah, I would say a big fan as well. I'd say that everything that's come through so far has been positive.
Yeah, and Paul mentions the this whole working together with other companies. I mean, Apple on the putting Office on the iPad in the store was fantastic. And what I really liked was just seeing the exchanges on Twitter between Tim Cook and Satya Nadella. I just thought that was cool, right? I thought that was pretty cool, and it just goes to show the change that we've seen, in the last 12 months, and long may it continue.
Definitely.
Okay, now what we've seen so far from Windows 10, and I know you're on the Windows Insider program as well. What aspects of Windows 10 are you most looking forward to so far?
I think Cortana, once it's fully released in the UK, is going to be a phenomenal tool. But I think just the way that the whole experience of using the desktop, the ability to move around much cleaner and easier and interact with the icons, just simple things like that, the way they've redone the whole screen interface is making it a much more enjoyable operating system to work with than Windows 8, where you're constantly flicking between the graphical interface and the desktop interface. So I think even simple things like that are a big change. And then I think some of the other stuff we'll see during the next 12 months, because what they've done with the Insider program is that as they're creating the updates and adding features and changing things based on the feedback, they're pushing those updates out as quickly as possible. So we're seeing changes continually on the operating system since it was launched on the Insider program. And obviously the expectation is that we will see a version launch towards the end of this year. They're being very coy about giving us a date at the moment, but it's likely to be in the fall, as the Americans would call it, and autumn, as we would call it. That's around about where we're expecting to see the operating system. But it looks very finished already, so I don't think they've got a lot of work to do to get that nailed down. It's probably just driver work and a few other bits and bobs.
Okay. Steve, what are you looking forward to?
I guess really is not so much the actual operating system itself. Like Paul used it, had a play around with it, quite like it, like the features and functionality. I guess from my perspective, it's what people intend to build on top of it, because this is a whole change away from what we've done in the past. We've talked a bit about Project Spartan as well, some of the stuff they're doing around that. Obviously, we'll start to see applications grow in the market space, better interaction with the cloud. Using phrases like Windows as a service and things like that. I'm more interested in seeing what people are going to develop and build on top of it to really change the way we do business.
Cool. Last question. I can't remember the last time people were getting so excited about what Microsoft were bringing out. Probably because I wasn't born. Is Microsoft cool again? My first.
That's an interesting question. I think Satya Nadella's cool, and I think that they've got some cool ideas. I don't think I'm probably the best placed person to judge whether they're cool or not, but I think they're certainly trying. I don't think you can ask to be cool. If you look at Apple, going back to the early days of the iPhone and some of the stuff that Steve Jobs were doing, Apple was seen as this cool and trendy company, and they were a cool and trendy company. And they've always been about design, they've always been about innovation. Microsoft is certainly showing some of the same traits, but time will tell, the market will decide, and the people will have their say.
For me, I guess it depends on your definition of cool, largely. And Microsoft, if you look at cool as being innovative technologies, lots of cool new ideas and features, stuff that's not just aimed at business users but at home users as well. I think certainly Microsoft are regaining some of the cool that perhaps they've lost over the years. And I think there's some really exciting technologies in there that we would say are pretty cool. The idea of HoloLens and the hub and various other things that they're bringing out in terms of Cortana, they're great business-changing technologies if they're used in the right way. So I think they're getting there. They're getting back to cool. Let's call it.
Excellent. Well, that's it. Thank you ever so much for your time. Hopefully that's been useful for you and you learned more about Windows 10. As the launch date gets nearer towards the end of the year, we'll be talking lots more about it, so please stay tuned to tsg.com/blog, where we'll be launching lots of new articles about it. If you've got any questions, then just give us a shout at TSG. Otherwise, thanks very much.